High fashion campaigns project a world of flawless elegance, but underneath the perfect lighting, these productions operate on a fragile, expensive financial model. When a luxury house signs a celebrity or supermodel, they aren't acquiring a lasting asset. They are simply paying a premium to rent that person's audience for a brief window of time. Brands invest millions upfront to secure a big name, but the moment that 12-month contract expires, the campaign's value drops straight to zero. If that celebrity faces controversy, the timeline plummets into the negative, wiping out brand equity. This is the critical flaw of the biological ambassador. When you tie your brand's identity to a living, unpredictable human being, you are ultimately funding their personal legacy rather than building your own. Once the endorsement cycle ends, the clock resets. You write another massive check to another rising star just to maintain the exact same visibility you had yesterday. The financial volatility of the human ambassador is forcing a strategic pivot. In a market that demands absolute control, a biological face represents a point of failure that even the largest budget cannot ensure. The solution isn't found on a runway, it's built in corporate data centers. Brands are bypassing human charisma entirely, replacing flesh and blood models with entirely synthetic, engineered digital identities. They call this algorithmic prestige. Using generative design systems, a label can craft a proprietary avatar that perfectly and permanently matches their exact standard of aesthetic perfection. By creating their own intellectual property, companies strip away every human variable. They don't give controversial interviews, age out of a demographic, or make questionable Friday night choices. The brand gains total immunity from public relations disasters. Every aesthetic choice, the tone of voice, even the slightest microgesture is plotted by a centralized strategy team. The avatar executes the vision with absolute precision, ensuring the outward signal never contradicts the internal corporate messaging. By removing the biology, luxury brands have taken prestige, a historically unpredictable and fragile trait, and turned it into a strictly controllable, programmable asset. A digital interface also operates entirely free of physical constraints, allowing for limitless global deployment. This diagram illustrates a brand rolling out a new campaign simultaneously across Tokyo, Paris, and Sao Paulo. Artificial intelligence dynamically adapts the avatar at each localized node. It speaks the exact dialect and adopts specific cultural nuances in real time, while maintaining the core brand DNA. Doing this with a physical human requires coordinating complex flight schedules, dealing with time zone fatigue, navigating language barriers, and managing strict contractual downtime. The digital model appears everywhere at once, entirely rested and perfectly on message. This level of omnipresence redefines how the global luxury market operates, allowing a brand to project a pure, undistorted signal through constant cultural noise. Curious, you might wonder how a buyer forms a genuine emotional bond with something that isn't biologically real. Consumer trust in luxury is built on the promise of an unchanging standard. While human ambassadors eventually age or change their public image, abstract symbols, like a monogram or a specific color, remain consistent for decades. Digital avatars operate as the ultimate extension of these symbols, providing a stable, reliable narrative that biological presence cannot maintain. We are seeing the rise of synthetic heritage. This is an engineered legacy built entirely from code and highly curated experiences. It functions just like a classic logo, carrying weight and meaning that easily outlives any passing human trend. Look at the economics of the strategy on this graph. The erratic line represents the volatile equity of a rented celebrity face. Compare that to the smooth, compounding upward curve of owned IP. With an avatar, every single campaign permanently strengthens brand recognition, turning an expense into an appreciating asset. By detaching from external fame, the brand stays entirely insulated from cultural volatility. The narrative remains strictly in-house, completely unaffected by external shifts in public opinion. These digital entities never age out of their prime, they never make a public misstep, and they certainly never demand a contract renegotiation. They provide the brand with an unbroken thread of continuity across generations of buyers. The transition to owned digital intellectual property allows luxury brands to engineer a flawless, timeless legacy. True exclusivity is no longer subject to the whims of the individual.